Unreal Engine 5. Welcome to this course where you, step by step, will be learning a lot. From basic things such as projects, actors, components, to animation and blueprints. I hate when people just show a script and say, that's how you do it. That's why in this course, my goal is to explain how everything works so that you can use the elements you learned in different cases. By the end of this course, you'll be able to create your own platformer game, which can include double jumps, coins, moving platforms, and much more. You'll be able to program menu for your game and export the game so that other people can play it. Yes, this course is perfect for beginner game developers, but even if you want to use Unreal Engine 5 for other things, you'll find a lot of useful information here. More than 5 hours of useful and not boring content is ready for you to watch. So, let's dive in. It's time to download and install Unreal Engine. And to download it, you need the Epic Games Launcher. You find the link attached, or you can use this one. But stop. Don't try to close this course and start a game. No. That's not for the games. Just find this tab, Unreal Engine here, and click here to download Unreal Engine. Once you download it and installed it, you can launch your Unreal Engine right here from the Epic Games Launcher or from your desktop right here. Let's launch it! So you have installed the Unreal Engine 5 and you have this beautiful icon on your desktop. Let's double click it and open it up. And when you launch Unreal Engine, the Unreal Project browser opens automatically. This is a place where you can create a new project, open and manage existing projects. I already have my several projects here because I did a few testing before recording this for you guys. But you don't have anything else, it's all just empty here. So don't worry about it, okay? First, let's just look at these categories. We have games, film, video, architecture, and even product design. And it means that Unreal Engine 5, in fact, can work not only for game design, it can work and it works for production, for architecture, for product design, for manufacturing, and a lot of different things. And that's cool because the basics that you're gonna learn in this course are very useful for any task that you may have. And each category has its own templates. For example, for the games, we have first person, third person, and etc. You also can select blank to create a blank project without anything inside. You can click on different categories and see that every category has its own templates. In this course, we're going to use the game template because, again, the basic things that you're going to learn here in games, you can use anywhere. So we're going to use the third person template, but later you can check the other templates. They're very fun. Actually, they like games prototypes, each of them. So we have selected the third person template. We have this little description here and then the project defaults. So this project defaults is the settings of your project, very basic settings. And the first one is the blueprint or C++. If you don't know what blueprint is, that's totally fine. And I'm going to show you later. But in short, it's just a way to program things without actual code writing. I don't expect you to know any programming languages for this course or actually to use Unreal Engine 5 at all. So the target platform is basically desktop or mobile. We're going to use desktop for this one. Then the quality preset is maximum or scalable, and it describes itself. So I choose maximum and I recommend you doing the same. But if in any time you feel like your computer can't work with your project, just come back to the settings and choose scalable, because that means that your computer isn't powerful enough to handle the project. Okay, then the starter content. So the starter content is useful when you want to start learning and experimenting straight away without worrying about custom content. You probably don't have any custom content at this point, right? Later on, you will create your own custom content, but for this course, let's check this box. Okay, then the ray tracing. Ray tracing is a technology and your hardware either support it or not. For this course, we don't need ray tracing, but for your future project, you might need it. I just want you to know that there is a ray tracing checkbox and you can check it if you need it. Okay, then you give your project a name and click create. And once you click create, it takes some time for the project to be ready. So let's wait a few minutes and I'll see you in the next lesson. Let's see what Unreal Engine has right out of the box. Here is the third-person team play. Find this button here and click. All right, and now we are inside the game, the demo game. You need to click first and then you can move your mouse around. Just take a look around at the character. Look how beautiful it is. Then you can walk using the W, A, S, D buttons or the arrows. Straight to the left, to the right, and backwards, just like this. And of course, we can jump using the space button. Whoop. Okay, I'm not good in video games. I'm not. Again. Yay, I'm here. We also have these boxes that we can contact with, like this. So this is our project, and it's not empty, of course, because we didn't select the blank project. We selected the third-person team played. And remember what I said about the maximum quality for your project? If you feel like it's too much for your computer anytime, let's push escape, like this. Then go edit, project settings, target hardware, and then choose scalable instead of maximum. Okay, and you might need to restart the project after that. Okay, escape, we can click play again and the player will be on the same position. That's because this prototype game is programmed like this. It's just designed like this. And let me show you what it has. So you can click F11 to open the full screen mode. F11 again to close it. And now I want to show you the following. Here you have this button. It says detaches from player controller, and that's what it does. If you click here, you can see that you can move around and your character is not affected. Just, you move around. If you click again, it attaches you to the player and you just moving with your player, just like this. Now, if you use Shift plus F1 buttons and click detach, what we can do, we can move around like this. We can select any object with the mouse and see details. Okay, for example, the character. And you can see that we have a lot of different things here. Right now, I just want you to know how to move from one mode to the other. So again, stop, we click play, then detach, and then we can select. So I click escape for now. You actually can see this icon, and this means that this is the point where the game starts. And it is programmed as well. For example, I can move it around like this. When you click play, the game's gonna start in the other place. Final thing that I'm gonna show you here is how we can change our objects. For example, I'm gonna click detach and then select the object. Let's take a look at these settings here, okay? There are a lot of different settings, but for now, I just want you to look at this transform section. And it's not very complicated actually. So we have location, rotation, and scale. Location is the point where our character is, and this is 3 axes like X, Y, and Z. The rotation is the angle, and the scale is the size of the character in this case. For example, 2, you can see that the size of the character changes like this. Let's make it bigger. Whoa, you are a big woman. Okay. So what we can do, we can attach and even move around with this big body that we now have. Just like this, and even jump. But when we click escape and play the game again, you can see that nothing has changed. That's because all the changes that you do in this mode will not be applied. And I want you to know that this character is called actor. You can also see the actor here. In Unreal Engine 5, we call it actors, okay? Actors. You also can see it here. We have the camera actor, we have text renderer actor, but for now I just want you to get used to the language that we use here. Or for example, let's select a cube, this one, and take a look at these buttons here. So what we have is rotation, scale, and translate. For example, I can select this cube, make it bigger like this, and if I want to save these changes, I right click on it and select Keep Simulation Changes. And now when we click Stop Simulation, we can see that this cube is still big. And in the next lesson, we're going to create a new level and see how the game will look without anything. Creating a level. What is a level? A level is all or a part of your game's world. Levels contain everything a player can see and interact with, like environments, usable objects, other characters, and so on. In video games, it's common to have multiple levels with transitions between them. For example, once you beat a final boss in a level, you move on to the next one through a door. And this can be a new level. So it doesn't mean that every level that you create will be the next level for a player, but every level is a part of your game. And level design is a big and very interesting topic. But what you need to understand now is that you might use different levels to transition between different kinds of environment. Levels are also called maps in Unreal Engine because level file is a UMap file. So level itself is like a container that holds everything else, like light, sound, actors, effects, and so on. For example, this is level, and in theory, this can be a level in a game, or this can be just a very simple game of just one level, and that's it. Or we can do some kind of trigger somewhere, and once the player is near this trigger, the next level will open. To create a new level, go to File, then New Level. You also see that you have this Open Level option here, and if you have, or when you will have a lot of levels, you can navigate through them using this Open Level option here. But for now, we just use the New Level. Okay, so we have several types. Let's take a look. First is open world. Of course, you know open world games like No Man's Sky, Red Dead Redemption, Skyrim. We have there a big world to explore. The open world is a level with sample content that can create a large, streamable open world. Then we have the empty open world, which is the same thing, but without the sample content. Then we have the basic. Basic is a level with a floor plan, lighting, atmosphere, and fog. That's all that it has, nothing else, but it's very basic level. and we have the empty level. Okay, so for this course, let's select the basic level, create. Now you can see this window, and what it does, it asks you if you want to save the content because we did a few changes. Do you want to save it? Actually, we don't need to save it, so I will click Don't Save. All right, and here's your new level. You can look around using the mouse. You can hold Alt to move the camera, just like this, and your view, just how you want it. And you can zoom in and out. Let's take a look what we have here. So select, just click on this object to select them. So this is a directional light. This is sky atmosphere. This is skylight. And this is cloud. Wow, very good. So everything that is on your level, you can find here in this folder, okay? Right now, almost everything that we have is lighting folder. We click here, we can see that we have the lighting and the floor. Basically, that's it. If you click this eye here, you make the object invisible or visible again. Let's try to turn the lighting off. Whoop, all dark. You can also open this folder and click like this just to get the idea what each element does. Everything that you will add to your level, you can find here. Okay, and then you have the details for the actor that you select. For example, this floor has static mesh component, or if we select the directional light, it has the directional light component. We will get deeper to these components and actors in the next levels, but for now, I just want you to get used to the interface. Okay, next what we have here is basic settings for the actors. You remember that we did change the scale for the cubes in the sample level, and basically the transform settings are always here. Depending on the type of your actor, details can change. For example, you can see that light has its own light settings, and we can, for example, we can change light color. Let's try. Wow. Wow, looks epic. It looks epic. Okay, let's go back. Okay, actually, if you don't know what was the color before, you can just click here, reset. And every level has its own world settings. You can move to this tab and take a look at the world settings here. For now, we don't need it, but I just want you to know that you have your world settings here right next to the details. So I told you before that in your game, in your project, you need to program everything. At least we have the character that we can test everything with, but for now, if we go very close to the edge and fall, nothing will happen, nothing. It's just falling and falling and falling, and let's click escape, and we need to go back to the platform. To do it fast, so just click the cinematic viewport and then the default viewport again. And the last thing in this lesson is these buttons. I want to show you how you can move, rotate, and scale your objects. If you click here, you can move it like this, like this. So you see, we have 3 axes, and if you don't know what axis you are using now, you can take a look at this corner. We have X, which is red, Y, which is green, and Z, which is blue. Okay, now let's click here and rotate, so we can rotate. When we are rotating the light, everything is changing. It's like when the sun rotates, you see? It's like a sunset, right? It's a bright, bright day. That's the sun goes down, sun goes down, sun goes down, and now it is down. Let's select this again to move the object around. You can not only move along axis, you can actually drag the center of an actor and just move it around like this. Then we have the surface snapping. And what surface snapping is, it's a thing that makes actors align to the floor or another surface. And next to it, you can see these three things. It's grid snapping. We have the drag grid, rotation grid, and scale grid. And when the grid snapping is enabled, an actor will move, rotate, or scale in increments of a specific value. For example, now we have 10, and I can slightly move the object just like this. But what happens, really what happens, is here is grid, we don't see it, and I can move it only in 10 unit increments. If I put 100, then, and do like one, slowly like this, you see, I can't move it like this, but I can move it like this. So the step is now 100. You see it? 100, 100, 100. You also can see this grid right here. If we put 500, now we can move it only to next 500, like this. So basically 10 is fine for the most projects, and it is fine for this course, but I just want you to know that you can change it here, and you also can click here to disable this function. And we have the same thing for rotation and scale. And finally, the camera speed button in the upper right allows you to change your movement speed in the viewport. Anytime you feel like you need a break from this course and Unreal Engine 5, you just go File, Save All, or Save Current Level, doesn't matter. So we save all for this one. If you want, you can create a folder, for example, levels. Okay, and now we're gonna save it and then close, open again. And now when you open it, you can see that you don't see your level, you see this first level. So what you need to do, you need to click File, Open Level, and select your level. In this lesson, we're going to talk about assets. Any piece of content in an Unreal Engine project is an asset. You can think of assets like building blocks that you use to create your game and application. For example, material is an asset, blueprint is an asset, sound is an asset. Most of the assets are created outside Unreal Engine and then imported to your project. For example, if I need a 3D model of something, I or someone else can create it in a special program like Blender or Maya. And you can find a lot of free 3D assets and even more paid ones on web. For example, Sketchfab or TurboSquid. For now, let's go here and open the content drawer. Since we have selected the starter content, we already have a few assets here. So we have some audio, blueprints, maps, materials, particles. Let's open materials. A material defines the surface properties of an object in your scene. So you can think of a material as the paint that is applied to a mesh to control its visual appearance. For example, here we have this 3D floor. And if I open the content drawer and select a material, for example, this one, you can see that the floor changes to this material. So basically we still have the floor, it's the same floor, but the material is different. Let's put stones. Well, that looks pretty good. Okay, if you don't want to click and click to open the drawer every time, let's just click here, Dock and Layout, just like this. And you can adjust it like this if you need more space. So we have the floor selected, and if we go here to the details and go to the materials, we can see that the material that we have applied is here. And actually, if you click here, you can see all the materials that you have available. So instead of going here and select a material, you can just click here and select it from this list. Not all materials are good for floor, of course. Now, for example, this is just a concrete floor, which works very good, but this one it's not for floor, it's for door. But you need to understand that materials don't have a 3D shape. So basically it's just a flat picture on a 3D model. So if you want it to be like real dents and bumps, then you need to adjust the model, not the material. The material is just a paint. We go to shapes. We have some basic shapes here. We can drag and drop it like this. When you drag and drop an actor, it appears here in this list. And it's called shape sphere. Then let's do the pyramid like this. So these are 3D models, very basic ones. If you select it and go to materials, again, you can select a material for this. Don't forget though that we have all these 3D models and materials only because they are imported to the project because we have checked the starter content. Best practice is to put a letter or 2 letters sometimes before the name of your asset, just to organize them and to understand what type they are. For example, M means material, T means texture, SM means static mesh. So for example, let's drag and drop this chair and another one and rotate it a bit like this and select and rotate it like this and maybe move them a bit. Okay, so now we have 2 chairs. You can see it here, chair and chair 2. So it says instance because all those actors are instances of this chair. And if you do anything with this instance, let's say, for example, we can change the material for it. Like this. That looks strange, but we changed something, right? And then I'm gonna put the other instance. You see that our actions didn't affect the 3rd chair. That's because every chair is its own instance. And if we want, for example, to change the material for all chairs here, for example, we have several chairs in our game, and then we decide that we want to change material for every chair. Of course, you can click on every chair, go here, change the material, go here, change the material, but it's so time consuming. Instead, you can just click here, right click, edit, and you'll see this window. Here are a lot of different settings, but for now, I just want you to look here, material, and I'm gonna choose this colorful material, okay? So I click save and then close. And you see that all the chairs are now colorful, and even the chair here. If you have an asset that you want to import to your project, you need to click here, import, then find a folder where your object is, then click or select everything if you want to import everything, open. And then for this window, you usually just click import all. And here is the new assets that you have just imported. And after you finish importing your assets, you will notice that their icons are marked with this star symbol. And that means that the assets are not saved yet. So what you need to do is to click Save All button right here. It shows you the type. So we have 2 static meshes, 2 materials, 2 textures, And yes, the level. It's just our level here. And since I didn't save it, Unreal asks me if I want to save the level too. So yeah, I want to save the level. Okay, and final thing, if you want to move assets from one folder to another, you can drag and drop. For example, these textures, go to textures. You can move here, copy here. Let's do just move. And you can see that 2 items moved. All right, okay, very good. That's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we will talk about actors. In this lesson, we're going to talk about actors. You already know that everything, almost everything here is an actor. You also can see the actor here, and that we have 14 actors with 1 actor selected. If I select a few actors, I can hold Control button and select a few objects. Thus, I select 5, for example. So an actor is any object that can be placed into a level. If we talk about 3D projects, then actors support 3D transformations such as translation, rotation, and scaling. And when you create a level, you place actors into a level, then move and scale them and add script to make them behave the way you want. For example, these chairs. I think there are too many chairs. So I just select an actor and push delete button. Just like this. Okay, so now we have big chair and small chair. So with this chair selected, you can see that we have this actor selected here, and the type is static mesh actor. And we already know that mesh means a 3D object. What means static? Well, static here means that its geometry can't be changed, because in contrast with static, we have skeletal mesh actors, and that means animated mesh, whose geometry can be deformed. For example, when a player is moving, let's play the game. So this is skeletal mesh actor, and it can be deformed. Its geometry can be deformed. For example, you can see the player is moving and legs bending, arms bending. So geometry of the mesh is changing. And with chair, we don't have such things with its geometry. That's why it's called static mesh. All right? Okay. What we also have here, we have lighting. We already know that we have different kinds of lighting here. We have directional light. It has type directional light. Directional light is one type of a view, and they're called light actors. And it's pretty obvious that you need them to add light to your level. We also have other types of light available. For example, if you do right-click anywhere like this, then go to place actor and go to lights, you can see that we also have the point light and spotlight, rect light. All these lights are different types of light. You can use it for different things. For the light actors, we usually can adjust color of the light and temperature of the light. Right here, light color. You remember we have already done that. And we have temperature. So if I go back to just white color and adjust the temperature, then the lower this number is, the warmer the light is, and if we go all the way down to that side, then the light will be very, very cold. Okay, I'm just gonna revert it for now. If we click play again and take a look at this list, we can see that now we have 23 actors. That's because a few of the actors are active only in the playing mode. For example, the character, the player start, and all the other things. we go to the content drawer and open the audio and then put the audio actor here, for example, and let's go to the particles and add a particle, something like that, and then play the game, you can hear the sound. And that sound is an actor as well. There are audio and sound actors, and there is no need to know all the types. You just need to understand that actors can be different things. Let's just delete these primitives just like this. Then go to props and select this big rock. Ooh, it is big. Okay, now enter playing mode. Whoop. That was loud. I'm gonna delete this sound actor for now. Okay, once again. Alright, since we were testing the demo game, you probably think that it would be the same this time. You just run and be blocked by the stone. Like obstacle, right? No, it seems like the stone is nothing. It doesn't have any physical shape. And it doesn't look right. So we're gonna fix it and talk about physical shapes in the next lesson. Collision. In this lesson, we're gonna talk about collisions. All right, so let's fix this mess with the stone. Why it doesn't have any shape. I click play and then detach and then select the player. Let's go here to the details. So we have the character and inside it we have the capsule component, mesh and camera. So camera is camera and we understand that, but take a look here, capsule component, collision and the mesh. So mesh itself doesn't have physics. If we don't want objects to just go through each other and we want some real physics, then we need collision. In this case, it has the capsule component. Only with shape component, collision is possible. For example, we have this chair and this chair blocks the movement of the player and the stone doesn't block the movement. So let's take a look at what their differences are. If we select an actor like this and try to edit it, you know that it means that we added only this instance of the actor. If you want to edit all the instances, you need to find this object here in this drawer and double click on it. Okay, all right, so this is the editor, static mesh editor. We can see the object, the chair, it is here. And if you go to this show tab and click simple collision, it will show you the simple collision that it has. This is what the collision looks like. You can see it's not the shape of the actor. It's actually a bit bigger. That means that probably this chair is not designed to be sat on it. You also can see that we have all the different things here, such as material. You remember how we changed it. For now, we don't need anything else. I just wanted to show you the collision, how it looks like. So let's just click here to close it. And now let's open the stone. So again, I'm gonna find it here in the drawer, double click on it, and here's the stone. If we click show and simple collision again, nothing shows. And if we click here collision, you can see that we can't remove or delete collision because there is no collision. How to add a collision? We have different types of the collision: sphere, capsule, and box. Let's click sphere first. You can see that it has sphere shape. Let's click capsule. It is capsule. Let's click box. It is box. You can see that new collision does not replace the other collision, but adds to it. And if you need to delete a collision, you just select it like this. Select the collision and delete. So for example, you want the box collision. It's very simple collision, but you know what? Not box. Let's go with the capsule collision, okay? I think it's more, it looks more like the stone, okay? Change the collision by moving it like this. If you want to, you can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. Well, let's make it very big, like this, okay? Then we click Save and close this. Now let's see what we have. You can see. We can go further. We can't go through this because the collision is here. You can see. Yes, we're still far away from the stone, but the stone that you see is just a mesh, and the collision is what matters. All right, now let's open it again. And now let's make this collision very, very small. For example, like this. You can see it's not the shape of the stone. Let's say we're very lazy and we don't want to do good collision, okay? So save, close it, play again. Okay, yeah, you can see it. We are going through it, but not through all the stone, just through a part of it. I think you already got the idea. Okay, so let's go back and give this boy a nice and good collision instead. All right, save. Okay, but let's take another look at this collision things. So we have sphere, capsule, and box, and they work perfectly for very simple objects, but sometimes you need something more complicated. So that's why we have this collision generator. So 10 means a box with 4 edges beveled. Like this, or like this. X, Y, or Z aligned edges. Okay, let's delete those. Then we have 18. That's box with all edges beveled. It's more complex. And then the 26 is the box with all edges and corners beveled. Okay, so I think we can delete the capsule component now because this collision looks much better. And of course, the more the number, the more precise is your mesh. But for very, very detailed mesh, we have this option, auto-convex collision. So I'm going to remove this one, go with auto-convex collision, and here you can see the settings. So what we have, the hole count is number of primitives. Of this option, let's move it like this. So this option increases or decreases the number of vertices your collision mesh has. And the last one means number of voxels to use when generating the collision mesh. The higher these values, the more precise your collision mesh will be, but also more complex. So let's apply it. Okay, it's not perfect, Let's increase it. You can see it can take some time. So try to play with it. All right, so for now, I'm just gonna remove this collision and put this one. All right, so let's save it. And play again. Now the stone is just stone. Perfect. But with collision applied to your static mesh, you can now simulate physics. For example, I'm going to select this chair, go to physics here, and click simulate physics checkbox. You also can see that if you put this check mark here, it says true, and without it, false. So you can't go wrong. All right, let's click play and try to move it a bit. Yeah, we move it. And this is not only because the static mesh is simulating physics, but also because of the collision preset. Okay, let's go down to these details and go to the collision. And we have collision presets here. And it's a drop-down menu. You can open it up. And you can see that we have a lot of different presets for collision. They regulate the way static mesh reacts to the other object in the world. And let's say we grab this chair and move it on top of the stone. Like this. Just like this. Okay. So now it simulates physics. And if we go to the collision preset, instead of physics actor, we choose overlap all. So we chose overlap all, and then we click play. Whoop! Did you see it? Did you see it? What happens is the chair overlaps everything else. So basically the chair is falling down. And you can see that Unreal reports the warnings because of that. And let's take a look what other presets are. So the pawn, what is pawn? Pawn is this thing, right? So it's the base class of all actors that can be controlled by players or AI. A pawn is the physical representation of a player or AI entity within the world. And of course, the character is a special pawn. For example, if we have a game with, let's say, a dog and a cat, when you as a player control the cat and AI controls the dog, both of the actors are pawns, but the cat is the character subclass. So for example, if now we go to the stone collision presets and choose ignore only pawn and then play. Oh, camera didn't know what to do, but yeah, basically it ignores the pawn. All right, and for every and each preset, well, you can choose it and you can see in this table how it works. Although there are many presets, we have just three options, right? Ignore, overlap, or block. And you can see here what every option does. You also can take a look at this table, which describes each and every type of the preset. All right, so that was a long lesson, but it is very important. Don't worry, the next one will be a bit easy. Components. We are back to components, but before that, I didn't mention, but you can move all the windows around just like this. If you want, I don't know, if you want your outliner here, I don't know why, but or if you accidentally moved the windows, you can just move them back. Or if you close one of them, just don't know how to go back, you click window and find your window here. For example, the outliner, I'm just going to move it here next to details. So components. Remember that mesh is just one of the component actors have, and there are many. I also need to say that a component is a piece of functionality that can be added to an actor. And you remember how the shape component was missing? Yeah, so that's just one of the components. Components can't exist by themselves. They must be attached to an actor. And components are instanced meaning that each copy of an actor gets its own unique component. For example, if you have a TV in your game and you're showing something unique on the screen, the display and what is showing will be unique for this particular TV. Otherwise, all TVs in your game will be showing the same thing, just the way we did with the chair. I can give this chair its own unique components, this one. And this actor will not have this. Or you can create a blueprint that will include many things inside it. And in this case, when you create instances of this blueprint, that means that each and every instance of this blueprint will be the same. We'll be talking about blueprints in the next lesson. For now, let's take a look at a few components types. So I just want you to know that there are a few types of components. Light components, yes, there are light actors, but what if you need to add a light to other actor, like a lamp? Let's go to the blueprints folder and select this lamp. I'm gonna put it somewhere higher. Okay, so this is the ceiling lamp. And if we select it, we can see that it has a few components. For example, the point light is the point light component, right? In this case, all this ceiling light is a blueprint. And if we need to edit it, we need to go and edit it in Blueprint. Then I want to talk about audio components. So if you go to the audio folder here, you can see that we have a few sounds, and each sound has a cue. So sound, it's called sound wave, and then sound cue. So the sound component allows you to add sound as a sub-object to an actor, providing a sound source. So the sound cue is a physical version of a sound. We can select the lamp, and you can see drop asset here to add a component. So let's select this sound cue. I'm just going to drag and drop this component. And now the sound is the component of this actor. Let's click play and try to hear. I'm not sure if my mic is sensitive enough to record this. I'll try. Yeah, that's the sound. Not very pleasant, but that's just the way it works. So each component type can be a very complicated topic and deserves a separate video. But for the purposes of this course, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, okay? You're doing your first steps. You don't need to feel overwhelmed. And for now, the understanding that components are attached to actors and each actor has its own unique components is enough. Okay, and in the next lesson, we're going to talk about blueprints. See